Hey, Scarefest, this is Joe Lewis, Bonehead Weekly. This week we're going to talk about Terrifier 3. And before you start throwing rocks at me, I promise to have a lot of positive things to say about Art the Clown and Damien Leone. Terrifier and Terrifier 2 came into my consciousness a few years ago because I'd never watched them. And when I finally watched Terrifier, pretty good, watchable, really ultra low budget film that is got some, it's just watchable for some odd reason, and it works. And I actually think the acting is not so bad in it. And truthfully, I think one of the things that carries these movies is not taking anything away from the writer director Damien Leone, who is an amazing, nice guy who've had the privilege of having on panels several times at Scarefest. But I think it's David or Howard Thornton as Art, even though he doesn't speak a word. If you've watched him, which I'm sure you've already seen this movie, it made $90 million at the box office, which is impressive all on its own. But there's something about Art the Clown that works. And there's something about the way David plays him that just works. And I think it carries these movies because I'm telling you right now, there's not a plot. You can tell me there's a plot. You can tell me about how X, Y, and Z, and I know some of you really, really, really crazy fans for this will try to explain this to me in detail. But I'm telling you, there's not a plot. And I am slightly envious, but mostly admire the dude because he couldn't get his stuff made. He went out and made it ultra low budget, then went out and crowdfunded the sequel because everybody loved that low budget film. And then it blew up. And then he made a small budget third version, which had even more money, which is made even more money at the box office. Can you imagine? It's an independent film that doesn't have a rating that made $90 million at the box office in America when movies just crash and burn and most of you don't go to the theater. It's so impressive. I admire him so much. I admire all of them. But this is not a good movie. But out of the three Terrifiers, and I've never seen All Hallows Eve or the ninth, whatever it is that it's the short film that it originally did, but this is the least of them. The budget bothers me in this one, even though it's the biggest budget he ever had, because he spent $2 million on this movie. And a lot of the effects are really good, but then there's some that just don't work. For example, the lady who's following around Art because she's oh gosh, there's a masturbation scene with a knife that's following him around, whose face has been ripped off. She cut it off or eaten off. Now, it's just not the world's best makeup. I don't know why it didn't. None of this stuff bothered me in the other one, but it does in this one. And then later on, when Sienna or whatever her name is tied to the chair and he busts her hands, when it cuts to the wide shot, you can clearly see that they're not, the damage isn't done. Then we come back to the close up, and then later on, he try to throw it away with, oh, she can heal herself after she's grabbed the sword trying to find her little sister at the end and pull her back out of the whatever the hell kind of hell they're going down into. Art the Clown works. Has a really good scene with Daniel Roebuck. I love the fact that they set it at Christmas. There's some trigger warnings, and there's a lot of kids who get harmed in this movie, okay? Here's my last thing I'm going to complain about. I may have gotten too old. I've said this on here a couple of times. I know it's fake, but there's a scene that takes place in a mall with a Santa Claus and an explosive. I just don't need it. There's too much reality out there for awful people, that awful things that they do. There's certain things I just don't need to see. Don't want to see them. Don't need them in my eyes. Don't need it in my brain. And it's okay. This is not the most grotesque. I actually think the other two are a little bit more grotesque than this film. Truthfully, I think this is slightly less. Even the chainsaw scene with the guy in his butt that's reminiscent of the scene in the first one with the lady. There's a crowd for this clearly, and I'm not it. So should you watch Terrifier 3? Probably you've already seen it. Did I hate it? No. Did it take me several days of watching it here and there? Yeah, it did, because it's just not an enjoyable experience for me for 2 hours, even though I've met almost all the cast and all of them have been nice to me. Damon Leone, extremely nice to me behind the scenes because we're both movie geeks. I admire him. I'm not being facetious. I admire the man. He went out and got it done. He got his movie on the screen and he's been successful at it. And kudos to him. They're just not my cup of tea. This has been Joe Lewis, Bonehead Weekly. Not much of a review, but probably a little bit more of a statement about the Terrifier films.